Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Suzie. I am your host and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. Before I get into today's topic, quick reminder that we have my next free live online Akashic Records workshop on Sunday the 23rd of March, 6 p.m. UK time. Would love to see you all there. If you can't attend live, if you're unable to make that time, do make sure that you're registered and you will receive access to watch the recording of that free workshop. We also have this month, starting on the 27th of March, my next level 2 class. I will pop a link in the show notes if you want to learn more about the level 2 class. This is professional level of the Akashic Records, learning how to become an Akashic Records reader. So if you are feeling the calling to that and you would like to come and study that class with me, we will be getting started on the 27th of March, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you who have already signed up for that class. Today I am going to be talking about deconstruction and construction work in the Akashic Records. You may have heard me talk on the podcast or on social media that my intention in 2025, based on my consultation with my Akashic Records business guides in the summer of 2024, was to bring forward some new modules that were going to assist you in doing deeper work in your Akashic Records. So I already have the level 1 training, which is teaching you how to access the Akashic Records, how to get information, how to get guidance, and also how to do healing and clearing work in your own Akashic Records. But in consultation with my guides last summer, it was suggested that I would go into some specific topics in a deeper way so that those of you who are working in your Akashic Records and maybe have one of these issues are able to have some guidance in respect of how to do that deeper work. You're going to find on your journey with the Akashic Records that you're always able to go deeper, you're always able to go into a new level. And that is my intention with these new modules. Now, I have just launched my first new module, which is called Akashic Abundance, and it's all to do with your relationship to money and wealth specifically, and using your Akashic Records to do some deconstruction and construction work around money. I will do a separate episode on that class specifically. I'll also put a link into the show notes around the specifics of the course on the website. So if you want to get booked in for that, you of course can. But today I really want to go into this idea of deconstruction and construction in the Akashic Records in a very generic way so that you can see the possibilities of the work. So whether it's in respect of money or relationships or career or whatever it is that you're wanting to do deeper work on the Akashic Records with, my hope is that by explaining to you how this deconstruction and construction work works by using the Akashic Records, you can see that perhaps you can use the Akashic Records as a tool for that deep work. In order to understand how we are able to do both the deconstruction and the construction work in the Akashic Records, we have to first understand the causal realm. Now, lots of you have studied with me, and lots of you know that when we talk about the Akashic Records in level 1, we talk about them existing multidimensionally, and this is correct. So the Akashic Records are said to live in the 5th dimension and above, because our experience of existence is not limited to the 5th dimension. There are dimensions above that, and traditionally in esoteric and spiritual paths, these would have been referred to as planes or realms. In the New Age, we tend to refer to things more from a dimensional perspective, but when we are talking about the causal realm, we are talking about the 6th dimension, and we are able to access the causal realm or the 6th dimension utilizing our Akashic Records. Lots of you will already be connecting to that realm, and this is traditionally seen as the realm of imagination, the realm of pure idea. Oftentimes you'll see people make reference to their understanding of the spiritual laws of the universe living in this realm. The causal realm does tend to be associated with the higher mind rather than the egoic mind. So when we look at the mind, there is an aspect which is very much dictated to by the ego. And then you have a higher mind, and this higher mind is associated with the higher self. The causal realm is one of the realms that we connect to when we go into the Akashic Records. It's beyond the astral realm. The causal realm is traditionally seen as more subtle than the astral realm, and there are, of course, other realms higher than the causal realm. So you may see these referred to as the Buddhic realm, the Atmic realm, the monadic realm, the Logoic realm. With all spiritual traditions, they're going to have different names or different terminology is going to be used, but across all spiritual and esoteric traditions, we can see that there is reference to these realms outside of our physical reality and outside of that astral plane. We also see through our work with the Akashic Records and the light grid that one of those levels of the light grid is the causal body, and our causal body is interacting with that causal realm all of the time, just like our astral body interacts with the astral realm. Now, this isn't a podcast episode on all of the different realms and how they work, but something to note is that when we start to talk about the causal realm and when you start to go off and do your investigations and your research yourselves, please bear in mind that oftentimes when you get into the higher levels of consciousness, so fifth dimension and above, a lot of the language is metaphorical. And also there are a lot of symbols involved. So what you will see is when you get into higher level spiritual and esoteric teachings, there is a tradition of using symbols. And the reason for that is because what is important at that level, and traditionally what was held as important, is the experience of rather than a mental understanding of. So I know this can be quite frustrating, but traditionally what would happen is you would enter a mystery school or a tradition. You would go through certain initiations, and those initiations would prepare you to be able to receive certain symbols. And upon receiving those symbols, what would happen is there would be an activation within you in respect of the knowledge. And this still happens, not necessarily now in a mystery school setting. But what I just wanted to make you aware of that in case you want to go off and do some extra research on this, and then you start to see lots of things being metaphorical and symbolic. We always want to focus our spiritual development on the experience of, rather than just gathering more and more and more knowledge. I'm sure I've said before on this podcast, you can watch every YouTube video, you can read every book, and you can learn everything you can possibly learn about driving a car. But until you get behind the wheel and start actually driving the car, all of that is just theoretical knowledge. And it's the same with your spiritual development. You can gather all of this knowledge, and there is nothing wrong with that. I really, truly get behind people wanting to educate themselves and learn more and delve deeper into topics. But please don't do it at the expense of the actual practice, because it's the practice that is going to lead to the experience of, and therefore a deeper understanding of, what it is that you are learning. So if you can think of the higher planes and there being a causal realm, think of it from the perspective of our physical reality is the effect. So we have cause, we have effect. So in order to change the effect of our experience of our physical reality, we need to be able to access that causal realm and start working with that causal realm for there to be a knock-on effect in our physical reality, the realm of effect. Okay, so how are we going to then use our Akashic Records to help us not only access this realm, but to deconstruct and construct our experience of our physical reality as a co-creator? First of all, let's take a look at the deconstruction work. And I talk a lot about Akashic Records clearing. And Akashic Records clearing is essentially part of the deconstruction work that we can do in the Akashic Records. This would be identifying and releasing limiting beliefs, clearing out any energetic stagnation that we have, whether it's from our current incarnation, past life traumas that we've experienced, anything from our ancestral line that we have brought forward. We can also, using the Akashic Records, release things like past life vows, so agreements that we have made in previous incarnations that are no longer relevant. And all of this deconstruction work, the purpose behind it is to essentially clear out our energy channels, our meridians, our nadis, get energetic stagnation from all of these different areas. And when we're doing deconstruction work, we're clearing out the channel. Now, we're clearing out the channel so that we can do the construction work. So I should say at this time, it tends to be that we need to do both. We will tend to find that there are certain things that need to be cleared out, so moved through, transmuted, before we're able to do the construction work, but they absolutely can be done side by side using the Akashic Records. So then we have the construction work. And the construction work can take a variety of forms, but what you're doing in the construction work is you are essentially expanding into new levels of consciousness. So you're expanding that light grid. You are deepening your connection to your higher self and embodying more of it. By clearing out those channels, you're able to embody more of the higher self. You can take on more light. Also in the Akashic Records that we would consider being construction work is by clearing everything out, we're able to connect to and access and activate past life gifts and abilities, things that we have worked on previously. We are also able to receive more of the activating light codes that we are receiving from the sun, which is the spiritualizing external force of our time. In the Akashic Records, you're also able to work with future timeline you or highest timeline you. And this is really good, fun work that you can do with the Akashic Records. You're able to ask that version of you to step forward and give you guidance as to how they got to where they are going. The Akashic Records is also going to help you really tune into what am I here to create? How am I to be the best expression of my authentic self and serve others in this current reality? You're able to ask really constructive questions. So it's not just about getting rid of all the stuff that's blocking the way, but it's also about doing that exploration work, that deeper work into what am I here to do? What's my purpose? How can I live in alignment? What steps do I need to take? Another piece of the construction work that we're able to do in the Akashic Records is in respect of building and strengthening our container. Okay, we're going to cover this a lot in the Akashic Abundance class, because what I see a lot of the time is people are doing active work in respect of trying to connect to this realm, trying to put intentions out there, using affirmations, getting into that energy. But where the mismatch is energetically is their ability to receive. And having a good, strong container and then expanding that container is going to help you receive and also help you up level. So up level your abundance, up level your level of financial income. And we're able to do this work through the Akashic Records as well. I hope this episode has given you a little bit of an introduction into the potential work that you can do in the Akashic Records, this deconstruction and this construction work. It's not just about getting rid of things, it's also about putting things as a co-creator, putting your ideas into realm and working with source consciousness to bring them into fruition in the realm of effect or physical reality. I will, of course, do another episode on how we're going to do this and how this is going to relate specifically back to money and wealth. But for now, I just wish you all a beautiful, restful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week for the next episode.